So the MVP race is getting quite interesting. And, this season, man, Nikola Jokic, I'm not going to lie, bro, they're going to have to come up with excuses not to give it to him. He's actually
Bro, he's a
playing
beast.
much better than in previous seasons, man. This guy is averaging 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. I believe it might have went down. He might be averaging like 9.8 now. But
That
man,
dude's finishing the season with a triple double, bro.
bro, it's insane. Like even the season that they gave it to Embiid, Jokic actually played better. And it's like
Yeah.
they've come up with 101 excuses not to give it to him. And
And the guy ended up winning the Finals MVP that year too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Jokic, the year that they didn't give it to him, he almost averaged a triple double anyway. He just averaged less points per game, but he averaged 63% from the field. That's crazy, man.
Bro, that dude
63% from the field, and he's shooting jumpers.
that dude is close to top five centers of all time, bro. So I was just thinking about this. I'm like, bro, I don't know like what argument I could make to put someone over him. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of like all time players, and I'm like thinking, like, I'm like, how can I not put Jokic? Like, it's Kobe, for example. Like, how do I not put Jokic over Kobe outside of the five rings? Like, you look at individual success,
Oh yeah, it's
Jokic
it's it's it's
bodies Kobe.
nasty.
Yeah,
Sometimes in different parts of the season, he's actually averaged like the most rebounds, the most points, almost the most assists, man. Like it's crazy, bro. It's like it's
like,
hard to make that argument, but the media has done this before.
mm,
Like I said in 2022-23, the year Embiid won the MVP that they gave it to him, Jokic actually had a better season. He just averaged 3 less points per game, but his field
yeah,
goal percentage jumped up almost 13%. And he averaged 3 more assists,
yeah.
9.8 assists a game, and they still didn't give it to him. So I'm
And
saying this season, do you think
yeah,
the media now is going to begin to craft a storyline to get SGA the award?
yeah, I think SGA. Because you remember they also did it with Jordan with Carl Malone that 1 year Carl won it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was supposed to be Jordan, like if we're keeping it real, but they gave it to Malone. Because like, obviously they don't want to make it too player centric. So I won't be shocked if they decide, you know what, like let's give it to someone like SGA, even though he's leading the fucking team in first place. Let's give it to him, or let's give it to if Tatum is lucky enough to have like a dominating season, let's give it to him.
Yeah, and Tatum is kind of in that tier 2 cuz right now I have tier 1 Jokic, then SGA. Tier 2 I have Jason Tatum kind of in a tier by himself. And
Yeah,
then tier 3 I got Giannis, Brunson, Curry, Wemby, Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns. I got them all
damn,
bunched
you
in
got
there.
Wimby high, huh?
No, I got Wemby. Well, Wemby, the numbers don't really matter in tier 3. I just kind of got them all bunched in there.
I got Giannis pretty high, bro.
My only thing is, I would have Giannis in tier 2 with Tatum, and he's gonna keep going up the tiers as the season progresses. But the only thing is consistency. Like the team, they had such a bad start, man. It's
Yeah,
gonna
but they've
be
been consistent since.
yeah, but you know what? He's gonna have to like finish like top 2 in the East to like jump up some of these tiers, man. Because Jokic and especially SGA, they've been their team success and their play has been
Yeah.
consistent. Well, I don't know about Jokic. Jokic, his numbers is just so crazy. It's gonna be he's gonna have to make tier 1 because a triple double, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists on 52% shooting. That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro. That is crazy, and with very little help.
Yeah.
With very little help. But you know what? Ironically, what do you think about this list? Like,
I like it.
do you have tier 3? Do you have anyone that you would put in there that you don't
Mm.
see? Well, because I have Giannis, Brunson, Curry, Wemby mixed in there, Donovan
So
Mitchell,
Luca
Karl Anthony
hasn't been
Towns.
healthy this season.
Yeah,
Luca
Luca
has not been
hasn't.
healthy. Anthony Edwards has regressed a little bit this season. I think a lot of bad shot selections has really kind of tainted my view of him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Last year a lot of people had Halliburton, even he tanked a little bit. He tanked a lot this year. Embiid isn't healthy. Booker and Kevin Durant aren't relatively healthy, and Steph Curry's not on a good team. LeBron and Anthony Davis is what makes Anthony Davis not on the list?
Oh, yeah, I have AD in there. AD will be part of tier 3. That's a good call. I knew I missed some players, but it was like a quick list I made.
Okay,
Yeah,
who else
AD,
can I really
I'll put
put
him
in
there in tier
because he had a good
tier
start
3.
of the season.
Yeah, he really did. He was actually, I had him like one of the top 3, but of course,
Yeah,
his injuries and the Lakers play style is gonna make him
yeah.
regress regardless, because it's so
I do like
LeBron
Donovan
centric.
Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell doesn't get the love he deserves,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of happy he's getting a lot of love in your list. You know who I find really underrated? Like, it's gonna come off crazy. Jaren Jackson Jr. I actually think he's having a really good season, man.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
he
where he
is.
ranks in the MVP season,
He is.
but
Yeah, I've seen
yeah.
a few people have him on their list.
Because I've been really impressed by that dude a lot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, he might just be a B tier player, but he's been kind of a franchise player for these guys, big time. So I have to give him his flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The only
especially
reason
on the defensive end.
say that again.
Especially on his defensive end.
Yeah, the only reason I have Wemby in that tier 3 is because his numbers are gonna be so crazy. It's
No,
like,
he gets his flowers, man. Wemby gets his flowers.
yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
get his flowers. Man, if the Rockets had like a scorer, I would have wherever that be in there. But the Rockets, they're second place, man. They're surprising
They're just an
everyone in the
overall
league.
team. They're just an overall team, like a team, you know?
Mm-hmm. But once again, going back to this list, it's we've seen this before, man. The media is almost like they're looking for an angle not to give Jokic the MVP. And ironic enough, Draymond Green and Gilbert Arenas actually spoke on this. How European players don't really have the same expectations when it comes to the media as American players, especially when it comes to winning and legacy. And a perfect example of that is the way Jason Tatum was pressured to win a championship versus the way they kind of put the same pressure on Luka. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the expectations. But they spoke on it. Let's just check it out real quick to see what they said. Draymond Green and Gilbert Arenas, Gilbert, man, he's always having some every once in a while he has some interesting shit to say when he doesn't try to go viral. my man be tweaking sometimes, but he does have gems every once in a while. But let's check it out.
Why does European players not get the same flack for winning championships or not than U.S. American-born guys? For instance, I saw a list today Stephen A. put out, and it was like the players under the most pressure to win a championship. I think James Harden was 1, CP was 2, Jason Tatum was 3, Joker was 4. Joker has 2 MVPs. Joker has 2 MVPs. More than likely about to be a 3rd MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And he's older than JT.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that he's 4th but JT's 3rd? And Luka wasn't even on the list, right? Now obviously Luka's a little younger than JT, but I feel like over the years, European players has not had the same, caught the same flack of winning a championship as U.S. players, and I don't understand that. And I wanted to know if you feel the same way about that.
It's really a knock, to be honest. Do they think that they're even capable of winning it by themselves? Do they hold them to the greatness of what they hold the American players to, right? So when you have a Luka, when you have Jokic, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, they're good European players are coming over, they're dominating, but do we hold them to the same standard? So it's like they get a free easy pass, right? They get a free easy pass versus someone you know me. You know what I'm about. It's the might be the color of the skin a little bit. You know what I mean? Got to remember the American white boy is gone.
Mm-hmm.
They adapted the black side of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
They adopted the athletic part of the game, so they don't have the same fundamentals that they used to have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you name when I see the white players, and then you put Luka in there, I'm like, that's European. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try that. I'm on to you. That's a good start. You know what I mean? You can't say, he's competing with Larry Bird. No.
Yeah.
That's Hayward. That's Caruso. That's that group.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I think, trying to find a way to ease the Europeans in to make it a broader game. And I don't think they want to really give them that oomph yet. But we're mentally built for it. Right now, the jury is still out on the Europeans. We see Luka, amazing. Dirk, amazing. Peja, amazing. The ones that came over have been amazing, right? But they need to start understanding that there's a lot from everywhere. There's a lot now. I mean, you can really put an all-star game together, the overseas versus the American.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can really do that now. You know what I mean? Because you'd be surprised who's from, who's not American.
Absolutely.
Like Shai is not American.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you can really have an all-star game where it's so, you know what I mean? You need to play it down the middle now. Give the same respect to them as you do us, which means you have to put the same type of responsibility on them. Just like there's no way JT's supposed to be in this conversation right now.
Yeah.
No, why?
Yeah.
He's 24, 25 years old. Huh?
Absolutely.
It's like Jaylen Brown is older than him, but you put more. It's like shut up, but that's that's what media does.
Yeah.
They try to set you up so you can fail.
No, 100%, 100%, and I can agree with you 100%. Like these Europeans today, Luka, Joker, Giannis, although Giannis accomplished the feat, Joel, and Joel's African, but just, from another continent. Like these guys, they real guys. And they these guys are top 10 guys in our league. Majority of them top 5, but they top 10 guys in our league. And I think, I didn't even think about it from the perspective of you saying like it's a knock. Like I didn't even think about that. But what I will say is whoever is knocking them, at some point you got to stop. These guys are as good as anyone in the league, if not better. And if the thing is, it's a knock and we don't hold them to that standard, that got to go. Because and by the way, I think Luka wants to be held to that standard. I think we know Giannis wants to be. We know Giannis wants to be held to. So I think these guys want to be held to that standard. And I also think, again, talking about it from a journalism standpoint, honesty. We need that back in this business. Not a narrative. Not the narrative of we don't know. We're not going to put. No. We need honesty. We need the truth back in this business. Because that is what ultimately helps grow this game. And that helps you. It helps myself. It helps everybody involved and who is touched by the game of basketball. So I that's something that I hope to see. I appreciate your perspective on that because it definitely gave me a totally different perspective that I haven't thought about.
So do you think it's really a knock on the European players? And that same knock is what really prevents Jokic from just collecting all these MVP awards? Like they just don't really have that expectation of him being great when it comes to the media.
European players are there's a new concept within the league, a lot newer, obviously. I think throughout NBA's history, they viewed kind of European players to be a lot more softer role players. So I think now you're seeing a change in narrative. And I think because of a change in narrative, it's going to take some time for a lot of people to adopt into the new America. or not the new America, my bad, a new NBA where it's not just you know, it's not just American players.
Yeah, there's almost like a conditioning for the NBA American
Yeah,
audience to accept international presence. It's the same
but
thing
I also
like in
disagree.
my bad. It's the same thing in soccer. Like in
Yeah,
international like soccer, like everyone accepts a player could be from Portugal, a person could be from Russia, he could be from Brazil. It's almost accepted, because Americans here accept, especially English Premiership soccer. They already anticipate these things, but when it comes to NBA, it's almost like they reject those same things. Oh, this
yeah,
guy's Brazilian, or Giannis. Giannis is cool, but he's Greek. He doesn't really have that
he's
American
not one of
swag.
us.
You know what I'm saying? Like Giannis said that himself. He can't be the face of the league. He doesn't have American swag all the time.
Yeah, yeah, he's not a really bigger than life personality as Americans love.
But those same expectations is what makes this award kind of a narrative award at times, when you see them not give it to Jokic, or even have that kind of greatness expectation for guys like Embiid, but not really for SGA or Luka.
Yes,
Like Luka early on in his career, he didn't have the same pressure as Jason Tatum did early in his career.
but I'm gonna be honest. I do think Dirk had pressure, man, in his career. I think Arenas, when he made that point of like Dirk didn't have expectations, I disagree. I think Dirk did have expectations.
He had expectations after he won the MVP award.
Yeah, after he went to no, if the year he went to the finals, he had expectations.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, he won the MVP. Yeah, afterwards. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Afterwards, yes. So Dirk had expectations, but the thing is, I think the conversation around him kind of fizzled out when the Lakers were winning, and it took like Duncan won another one, then the Lakers won two, and what was it? Obviously the Celtics. So the conversation around him kind of fizzled. But I think there were still expectations of Dirk winning the final because that was like the last achievement he really needed.
Yeah, he had expectations, but I'm gonna have to shoot Gil some bail because he really didn't have expectations of being great.
Not the similar expectations of Kobe winning, LeBron winning his first, or Kobe winning one after Shaq.
Or even I'm gonna say this, or even Garnett winning a championship. He didn't have the same expectations as Garnett. Like that's what Gilbert was talking about. What's the sentiment? Like where does that come from? They're trying to pinpoint.
Did Timmy have the expectations?
No, what I'm saying, they're trying to pinpoint in that conversation between Draymond and Gilbert. They're trying to pinpoint where does that come from? That sentiment that the media has expectations for Garnett, but not really the same thing for Dirk. When in reality, it should be the same expectations, but they don't. They put a different pressure on Garnett versus Dirk.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. We're seeing it here because that same knock that they were talking about is what's preventing Jokic from possibly possibly getting his fourth MVP award. It's almost like they're trying to find an excuse not to give Jokic the award. Let's give it to SGA. It's a weird thing, man. But if Jokic had expectations of greatness like an American player, they would have been like, wow, look at his numbers. It's undeniable. We're going to give him the MVP for the fourth time. Like it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. But do you think the MVP award is more narrative driven?
Yeah, it has always been narrative driven.
Yeah. I think the Russell Westbrook MVP award proved it.
Yeah.
James,
he had a whole storyline, him beating the Oscar Robertson record.
Yeah, KD leaving.
Okay, yeah, of course, Kevin Durant leaving.
Yeah, it's just that James Harden really. I don't like James Harden's game, but even I will admit he should have had the
I make
MVP.
the argument for 2017. I thought 2017 Kawhi also has an argument.
True.
He had a really good season. I mean, dude, obviously, I think at the time fans loved it. So you do have to give a little bit to fans because Russell Westbrook's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's beloved by a lot of people. Definitely.
Yeah. I do think it's a little bit. I think even Giannis winning the MVPs were a lot narrative driven too, of a new era.
Yeah. But Giannis deserved it. He was killing it.
No, he just. Dude, I think all the MVPs deserve it throughout history.
But Giannis, in a way, they've kind of played him the same way they played Jokic. when it comes to some of these MVP votings, though, like where he
Yeah, I
finishes.
think he's gonna get. I think he's getting played in this one too. To be honest
Yeah,
with you, with the
even
ranking
his
system.
no, but it's been long before that. Even his consideration, it's been kind of met with like they just really didn't expect it. This is before he won the championship. It's almost like they didn't expect greatness out of him, just like how Gilbert and Draymond was talking about, because he's international. So they try to like downplay him even being in the running for MVP. It's a weird thing that they do. I mean, it's really undeniable. It's really undeniable. Also, let's touch base on your article with Karl Anthony Towns, because I had him in the third tier, this kind of MVP mix here. Is he reminding people this season that he is that kind of star? The first overall pick, I believe, in the 2015 draft. Yeah, you wrote about it in your article. You guys could check that out in the description below. Check out Sai's Substack.
Subscribe to Orange Cookies, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you could just elaborate on some of your findings, because Towns, he's been killing it, man. In his last 6 games, he's been killing it, man. 27, 13 and 3, 44, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 17 points, 22 rebounds, 4 assists, 31 points, 21 rebounds, 4 assists, 32 points, 13 rebounds, 68% shooting. Sheesh. 30 points, 14 rebounds, almost 60. See, yeah, 68% shooting again. Wow, man. And Towns is killing it from 3, shooting about 50%.
What's crazy about him, I was thinking about it. I think I also put him an argument. I'm like, man, maybe it might have just been Minnesota that held Towns back into being one of the best players. They didn't really build a great team around him in his time there. I think they looked into Anthony Edwards, obviously, but you look at his time with Jimmy Wiggins, like it seemed like it was a lot of dead ends, right? But I think with this team, it's unlocked a lot of Karl Anthony Towns' ability as an offensive player. I think these are the best wing players he ever had in his career. I think Towns, just scoring wise, he's been dominant. I think inside and out, he's been dominant. Rebounding, of course, he deserves his flowers. But his passing abilities has also been remarkable.
Oh yeah, woo, my man,
like
my man looking like you're looking like
Yeah.
Julius Erving out there, man. Like, you know how Julius Erving used to go underneath the hoop, but he's doing that with the passing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think like even he's able to find players off the cut, players from the post. I think his dribble handoffs with Jalen Brunson is really good. Towns has been impressive on the playmaking end, and that's one thing I noticed while watching him play. I'm like, holy shit, like this guy's all around, like putting up his best numbers. He's like all around on the offensive end. He's done everything that you want him to do.
And as you said earlier, he's in the right fit. You got Brunson, a guy who can, shoot off the pull up, guy who's attacking in the paint, scoring nonstop. The way the floor is spread because of Towns, you got guys like Josh Hart cutting, Mikal Bridges making their cut, OG also in the corner, and also he's making his cuts.
He's a spot up 3.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. And yeah, man, something about New York, yo. You got to interact with the city when you go outside. You can't just park your car in the parking space and go in the store. You got to interact, and we see Karl Anthony Towns, the flavor, the swag of the city's coming out. And he's looking different.
And he's having a lot more fun. I think a lot more, like Karl Anthony Towns, in my view, has always been a relatively soft player with his play style, but I think now he's much more physical in this season. In his playing style, he's much more physical. He's going downhill. He's banging with the big man. He's, I think because he's banging with the big man, he's creating a lot of opportunities for his role players.
Correct. Yeah, and then, again, he's going to hear it from the city. If he's not banging down low, the city's going to let him know, like, Towns, you got to bang down there. You got to take advantage of these smaller players. Like,
I think the expectations for whatever reason, there wasn't a crazy expectations for this guy. But to be honest with you, the expectation should have been him being the next, like, Patrick Ewing of the Knicks. Like a big man that the Knicks needed for a long time.
Yeah, in a way I agree. But the only thing with Towns, I would say that defense, that inside presence, because Ewing, if you look back in the history books,
his defense was great.
Yeah, his defense in the paint was man, the way he blocked shots was crazy. His reach was crazy
very underrated
on some
player.
of his blocks.
Very underrated player. But I
Yes.
also talked about that in my article. I thought Minnesota, one thing they did good in later parts of his career was adding Rudy Gobert to cover his weaknesses. So I think the Knicks, your best hope is getting not Donovan, my bad, Mitchell Robinson back as soon as possible. I think the thing with Towns, and I think this is what's so perfect about his game, is that it works with any player you could put around him.
Yeah, he instantly spreads the floor off rip, and I
Yeah,
see
but
that's.
I think him and Mitchell could work really well. Like for 20 something minutes,
Mhm.
it could be something that they could benefit from.
Oh yeah, definitely. They could use that same formula that Minnesota had last season.
Yeah,
And with the T Wolves, it's really hurting them this year with Towns not being there. Like it's crazy how when a player leaves, you notice it more. Like the spacing that Towns provided without even taking a shot, just off rip, defense is respecting of
yeah,
what he could do. We see the T Wolves this year, them not having it, and they kind of have to earn that spacing with Dante DiVincenzo. He has to get hot for teams to start to open up that spacing for the T Wolves. And I think that's been something that caught Edwards and perhaps the Minnesota front office by surprise, because now they have to create that spacing, and now Edwards is clunky in there with Julius Randle. Same thing with Naz Reid, and we see McDaniels not really getting his shots off like he used to. Like now with Towns not being there, it's affecting other players.
yeah, 100%. I think with Towns, he's one of the more interesting players. Like I said, the main concern with Tim will be the playoffs. That's one thing I'm looking forward to because Towns has been a relatively great playoff player.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Let's see how it goes down with this playoffs. I think maybe like the Knicks, the Knicks have better role players than the Timberwolves. So
I would say it's 50-50 at this point. I mean, Mike Conley is aging out. That's kind of hurting the T Wolves right now. But
yeah,
but Towns is playing a lot of minutes. That's the only thing. We'll see what Tips could actually, how he manages these lineups, especially with Mitchell Robinson, and I believe what's his name, McBride, when they come back in the lineup. They have a lot of
yeah.
guys
I
that tend
know
to be in and out these lineups.
Campaign playing a lot of minutes.
Campaign is probably playing. He's
He's
playing.
eating a lot of them. He's eating some of the minutes of McBride, right?
Yeah, he's getting some of the
Yeah,
minutes with McBride having an injury issue.
yeah.
But the Knicks right now, they have a very thin roster. They're very top heavy. So we'll see if Cat can carry that load. It's a good thing that these teams don't really get that much practice in, because the heavy minutes that they play is pretty much they're gonna be the major workload.
I talked a little bit about the playoff concerns with this pass. That's one thing I think the Knicks fans should really be worried about. I think the defense, but I think Mitchell Robinson can cover a lot of it. I
Mm-hmm.
think the hope is that the hope with him is hopefully like Towns improves a little bit of defensive edge. I think a lot of the perimeter defense the Knicks have is a huge positive. Obviously, OG, Josh Hart, and Mikal a little overrated, but he's a great defender. So
Yeah,
you know,
Tibbs also has Towns hedging on some of these screens, because before he had him on drop back coverage, way
yeah,
below by the free throw line, and now I see Towns is hedging a lot more. He's actually making more of an effort on the recovery, to get back to his defender. It's Tibbs is gonna have him
it's
grind
a
it out.
working process.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Tibbs is
work in
always going to be.
progress.
Tibbs is just a respected coach overall.
Yeah,
So
everywhere he's
he
gone
can get it.
has seen
Yeah,
success. So
he's had people that liked him.
I think Towns is it's a maturity thing. He's more his game has matured a lot more. He understands what it takes more now to win. So he probably
Yeah,
sees some of the things that Tibbs was kind of emphasizing was really the way he had to go in order to win.
yeah, he's not a stupid player.
Nah, he's definitely not.